Thank you for tuning in to another edition of Not Church, where we encourage people to think. Please forgive me for my do-rag. I'm getting ready to go to the gym. My do-rag just means I'm getting ready to go hit it, and I'm going to hit it hard today. I'm really feeling it today. I want to thank you for stopping by again, and I want to let you know out front that I'm going to be discussing some things that, that's going to cause me to have to be a little bit more vulnerable, to share a little bit more of my narrative and put a little bit of context to this subject. Why protect yourself? If you know God has you, and you really know that, and you really completely convinced that God has you, why protect yourself? In the literature, Jesus, when he gave his life for humanity and for all of humanity's sin, at first Jesus seemed to be a little bit apprehensive. In one of the Gospels, I can't remember exactly which one it was, but one of the Gospels, Jesus said, "If it be thy will," talking to his Father, "God, take this cup from me. Nevertheless, that's important, that nevertheless part. He said, thy will be done." In other words, I give up right now of protecting myself. Here I am, just as I am, with no facades, with no covering. I'm naked, and I want you to take this naked, and I'm fully gonna trust you. Not just trust you, but I'm fully gonna know. You start out trusting, but there's a point, and in the process of that trust, that you got to know. Faith is hybrid at first. In other words, you don't see it, but it ends with some kind of evidence. And the evidence is the knowing part of it. And that's very important. When I grew up, I would say around the age of 4 or 5 years old, I remember my parents having their first smackdown argument. And I was young, my sister and I. And during this argument that they had, and I don't know why, my sister sometimes has problems remembering the past. I don't. Little intricate details of our past, I tend to remember those things. She tends to forget, and I don't know if that has to do with her being a female and my being a male and my being the firstborn, her being, I don't know. But she has a tendency to sort of forget some things that happened until I remind her. And then she sometimes remember. But she was around 4 and I was 5 years old at the time. And my parents got into an argument. It was the first major argument that I remember. And my parents got in an argument and they discussed leaving each other. And I vividly remember me siding with my mom and my sister siding with my dad. And the feeling was so traumatic for me as a 5-year-old. Let me put a little more context to this story. My dad and mom, they're great people. They both love God. They're very, very good people. And of course, we all have our best intentions with the things that we do in life. But when my dad was in his 30s, and again, I was my dad's first child, he found out the woman that was raised as his sister was actually his mother. He found that out in his 30s. So then he later found out that his mom states that she was raped in terms of getting pregnant with him. So my dad, around his 30s, he found out all of this information. So just imagine how traumatic that would be for him, one. But number two, the ripple effect that learning something of that magnitude would have on not just you, but your family at the time. Your relationship, your ability to be a father, the implications of this in terms of your insecurities about being a man. You know, you never knew your dad, and your mother states that your dad raped her, and that's why you're here. My mom, on the other hand, she remembers meeting her father one time in her life. And that one time that she met him, he brought her $1, and after that she didn't know. My mother was primarily raised by her grandmother and her uncle. They primarily raised her. So she was kind of in between homes. So now you got two people coming together with the mentality to stay together in spite of everything, that all of the insufficiencies they had and all of the trials they had, they chose to stay together. And you're a child in the midst of them staying together. That was pretty tough, because my parents didn't have the perfect marriage, like none of us. And it was just very rough in a lot of ways. But you know, the African American community teaches that it's better to keep your business in the house, and they teach it's better to stay together, even though there's a lot of quote unquote hell going on in the home, because you want to stay together because you need to create this persona for everybody else. And that's the thing. The church world, same way. And I know that my home is not the only home that way. We all have our homes, and our homes had similar circumstances. Maybe not that exact same thing, but all of our homes had similar circumstances. And we've learned to hide behind church, hide behind faith, hide behind Jesus. But we have to stop trying to protect ourselves. Why protect yourself if you know God got you? If you know God has the final say in your life. If you know God is the author and the finisher of your story, why protect yourself? Because God has you. And we have the narrative that speaks to each one of our stories, that lets us know that no matter what we go through in life, no matter what we have to endure, no matter how tough your situation may not be like mine, but you don't have to protect yourself. Some of us feel like we have to protect ourselves and compete with other folk, because in the black community, you know, our parents motivated us, at least those of my age group, to go to school, to further your education, to do more, to get more. So the flip side of that is a lot of times we internalize this and we start competing with one another. Some of us are so jealous of one another instead of just coming together under this unity of God. See, monotheistic, when you talk about monotheistic, you're talking about the worship of one God. And we cannot worship that one God unless we all learn to come together as one. We have to find more things in common than we do different about each other. And that's the thing. The only way we can do that is just let it go. Just let it all go. Stop protecting ourselves. Again, thank you for stopping by. Thank you for being a part of a family that know what they believe and why they believe it. Please like, comment, subscribe, and remember, it's okay to think. Until we meet again.
Everybody won't be on top, yeah. Whether the roof or the mountaintop.